Hello, folks. This is Chris, KY4CKP, the 4L0HAM, and just wanted to bring out another video and talk a little bit about the solar installation I've had on my truck. I had it on the first Tacoma, the gray one, before it decided to take a bath and try to become a submarine. And I got the same system again. This is the system from Lensun Solar. It's a 90 watt panel with a 10 amp MPPT controller. Seems like a decent system, working well for me so far. I've had it for, I guess, about a year now. And I just got to thinking about this one day. You know, being that you mount the specially shaped solar panel on the hood of your Tacoma, and it's not really going to be in an optimal position most of the time when you're parked someplace or doing whatever, POTA activation, or if I'm on a location working an event or camping or doing a trail or whatever. So you're not going to get maximum efficiency out of that panel. And then sort of combine that with the fact that even though the MPPT controller is not a real big one, 10 amps, it had plenty of capacity. Effectively, it had extra capacity. So I just decided, well, being that that's the case, why don't I go ahead and add another panel to the system? And so I started doing just some simple research and didn't want to go too big with a second panel. Wanted to make sure I was going to stay well within the controller's capabilities. You know, if it was a really good, bright, sunny day in the middle of summer and the sun was pretty much right overhead and giving me as optimal an input as I was going to get with a system like this. So I decided to get another Lensun panel. The Lensun panels seem to be overall decent quality and reasonably decent prices. And so I got a kind of a narrow 55 watt panel that I decided to put up on my roof rack because I had some room up there. And so I just wanted to add to, again, the 90 watts that's already on the hood, which again, so far has been working well. And with the tune I have on the Tacoma, helps the alternator put out extra current for the AGM battery. And then with the solar panel, helps make sure I'm pretty much topped off at all times, even if I don't drive the truck for a few days to a week at a time. And helps keep me powered up even if I'm out in the field using that power with the radios. So I had the original system already in place. And so, again, some simple research. And I decided to go with, again, another Lensun 55 watt panel. I looked at the space I had on the roof, wanted to make sure I was going to fit within that space. And again, wasn't wanting to potentially overload the controller. So just went with a 55 watt panel. That will give me about 145 watts total and should keep me well within the capabilities of my controller and also fit the space I'm going to be in. Now, could I have fit a bigger panel if I had gone out and measured carefully and so forth? I probably could have. I probably could have found something that was closer to the shape of the space I had. But I wasn't worried about it that much. I just wanted to have some additional capability. So I spec'd out, again, this panel and knew it would fit in the space I had. You know, that 80 watt panel right next to it there might have worked. Even a 100 watt panel of some of those sizes and shapes may have worked. But again, I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to overload the MPPT controller. Picked up a couple of Y adapters because I was going to have basically a 2-in-1 system going into the controller. And so just Bouge RV is a pretty well-known brand, and you can see their stuff gets pretty good ratings. So just picked up the Y adapter, and then also some extensions, MC4 terminated extensions, since everything else was set up for MC4, which is a very common connector in the solar industry. So it was really a pretty much a plug-and-play type of add-on. Since I already had a system in place and the controller and everything was already in place. Again, just MC4 Y adapters. The solar panel is already terminated in MC4, and I just got some, as we'll see in a moment, MC4 terminated extension cables, and it was just plug and play at that point. Of course, everything is relatively weather resistant. I always hate to call things weatherproof or waterproof, but certainly relatively weather resistant. And so it was going to be pretty easy to install, and it was. Didn't take me very long, just sort of taking my time and routing some cables and trying to keep it relatively neat. So I think I had it installed in, it was definitely less than 2 hours, hour and a half, maybe something like that. It was a nice day, about 65 degrees, 70 degrees. So nice little project, and mounted the panel up on the roof rack. So what I decided to do, since I had some space on the roof rack, and thinking about different ways to try to mount a panel, and think about how it was mounted on the hood of the truck. On the hood of the truck, the way Linsun has their kit, I think some of the other similar kits are set up, is a couple things you can do. But what I did, what a lot of people do, is just use some 3M VHB very high bond, automotive tape, the double-sided super sticky automotive tape that's used for all kinds of accessories on vehicles and things in the automotive industry and so forth. And I used a good a bunch of that for the hood. That thing's not going to blow off. It's not going anywhere. It keeps it very low profile as well. And with the hood rack, I used some more VHB tape up there. I was able to go across, I think it was 4 different of the rails, and I put 3 strips of half-inch wide tape, the full length, the full width of the solar panel on each one of those. So again, I really don't think it's going to be going anywhere at all, but I'll be keeping an eye on it, of course. But again, it's very low profile. So you can see I've got some wires coming down from lights and things on the rack, coming down through the conduit. There's the controller there in the in the hood there of the vehicle, and there it is mounted up on the top of the rack. Very clean, very low profile. I might put a little bit of weather resistant tape right along that leading edge, but again, I put it right on the edge of that rail with the VHB. The VHB is right there at the edge, so there's not much of a lip or anything for any wind to really get a hold of. So when I was testing the components out to make sure the new panel was good, the Y adapters and extension cables were all good, it was a pretty cloudy day. You can kind of see there, but there was a little sort of sunshine coming in. So I just used the app that comes with and you use with the Linsun kit and their charge controller, the Solar Life, and hooked up and made sure that the original panel was generating power. Of course, the battery's pretty much full, so it doesn't need very much. You're not getting very much out of the panel because it doesn't need to draw much. But it was there and it was generating power. Switched it over to the Y adapters, the new cables, and the new panel. That was also providing some power, almost as much as the 90-watt panel. Not quite as much, but 10, 11 watts as opposed to 12 to 14 watts with the sun mostly behind clouds, and again, being that the battery is pretty well full, but everything worked. All the cables worked, the panels worked, and so I got everything hooked up together. And again, we'll be, even on a really bright sunny day, summertime, sun's pretty much right overhead, which would be kind of optimum position for this kind of a setup. I'm not going to be overloading the 10 amps of that charge controller. This combo at its best probably wouldn't produce more than 6 or 7 amps, maybe 8 amps if it's really cooking along that day. So I should be nice and safe with that. And I can always check it with this app whenever I'm out. So I'll turn on this app and just check things every so often, see how we're doing. So that's pretty much it, folks. Just kind of a quick one. It's easy installs. There's not a lot to this stuff. Lots of videos. What I usually do on a project is watch a lot of videos and see what other people have done and see what sounds good to me. And then I'm not ashamed to borrow from other people. So that's going to wrap it up. This is Chris, the 4L0HAM, KY4CKP. We'll see you folks in the next video, 73.